Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Lewis.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Yes, hello everyone. It is Monday. It's the day after the night before. Welcome to the Rangers Journal. This podcast is titled Rangers, Jekyll and Hyde, sides hand Hearts title. So have we handed Hearts the title after that 2-2 draw at Ibrox yesterday, where Rangers had a phenomenal first half, going 2 up with some cracking goals against what looked like a very leggy and lethargic Celtic side, for us to then capitulate in the second half and allow them back, not just back into the game, but allow them the advantage potentially in the title race. Is the title race over? Are Hearts the real winners this weekend? Well, we are going to be speaking about that this evening. So first up, Ryan, how are you feeling, mate?
Still pretty a bad mood, to be honest, mate. I was meant to have arrangements last night with a couple of friends of mine to actually go out and see them after the game yesterday, but I just came home and the only thing I wanted to do was actually go to my bed. I was furious yesterday, and I'm pretty annoyed still just now. Not looking forward to Sunday in any way, shape or form. Going back to the next game, I really don't want to go through another 90 minutes of what I went through yesterday. First half will be what it is. It was a great first half, but it means nothing now.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I think that's the way that the majority of Rangers fans are feeling at the minute. So yeah, we'll obviously get into that game and probably give me some PTSD. But yeah, good to have you all know to discuss everything. Ryan, next up, Dino, how you feeling, mate? Hopefully you're feeling a little better after 24 hours at least, hopefully.
Can I say, had a horrific night's sleep. So, and that's always my bar. If I have a bad night's sleep, then that's how I'm feeling. So I just echo everything that Ryan said. Just wanted to be in my bed yesterday and also grim.
Yeah, do you know what? I can't disagree with that. Though I had a bad night as well. It was it's not been a great 24 hours or so. And last but not least, Richard, this is where you tell us you're all happy and it's all good in the world. But are you feeling the same, mate?
I've got to be honest, I was, but just 2 minutes ago before we came on here and Ryan just got rid of and made a world record of saying the most swear words in the quickest possible time, genuinely cheered me up, and I struggled to stop laughing at it. So, but before that, I was pretty similar to these lads, but Ryan's cheered me up a little bit, so I'll be the slightly more positive one, I think, of the group tonight.
It's all right. Ryan, I do believe, has some undiagnosed Tourette's, so don't worry, mate. Whatever you say is totally fine on the show tonight. I'm sure a lot of the Rangers fans will appreciate it. But yeah, no, I totally agree, Richard. I totally agree. So let's have a look. Before we get into things, actually, don't forget, we are proudly sponsored by Bluebells, the good guys over at the Bluebells Bar, Puerto del Carmen in glorious Lanzarote. So when you're over there in the sunny Spanish Canary Islands, I think we could all do with a bit of sun at the minute, you'll find a very warm welcome at the only Rangers bar in Puerto del Carmen. Family-friendly, eat, drink, chill, party, and yes, they show every Rangers game live. So it's nothing better than watching the Bears in the scorching heat. So when in Lanzarote, do pop in and say hi to the guys there and say the Rangers Journal sent you. So, right, let's have a look at that team from yesterday then. There we go. So we went with, I guess you'd call it that kind of 4-2-2-2. So we had Jack Butland in goal, no surprises there. We had the back four of Romans, Fernandez, Suter, Sterling, Chukwani and Raskin in front. We had Muir and Skov Olsen in front there as well on the wide berths. And then we had Yusuf Chermiti and Nadiri as well. So because you're first on the kind of list here, Ryan, I'm going to come to you. We saw that team obviously an hour and a bit before kick-off, and we all looked and thought, that is the team. He's going for it today, didn't we?
Yeah, and compared to some other games where he picks this cautious lineup that he likes to throw in, I was happy with the starting 11. It was pretty much the starting 11 that was in my head before the game started. There was no real surprises. Maybe Sterling coming in out the cold instead of Tavernier. It's obviously had these injuries concerns. But for me, I thought the starting 11 was as good as what it can be. Obviously not listed here is how strong the bench was. I felt the bench was full of senior players and there was a lot of options on there. Turns out the manager didn't fancy using those options in the end, but we'll come to that, I'm sure. But I was over the moon with the starting 11 when I first saw it. I thought that was great. I was pleased and obviously full of expectation and excitement.
Yeah, we certainly were. Richard, I take it was the same for yourself. Was there anybody you'd rather start in there, or was that just perfect for you, mate?
No, that was perfect for me, to be honest. I think for 99% of fans, I think that's their preferred team as well. Happy 2 up front. We seem to be playing well with it. I kind of disagree with Ryan a little bit. And I said it in the group and in the chat and pre-match, but I don't think we have any game changers on the bench. Well, they were all first team players, but we might come on to it. Don't want to peak too soon, but for me, other than Gassama, who you'd say is one of the first team players, potentially a starter, but he's been so off the boil. Bajrami himself is so inconsistent. He's not someone you can bring on knowing that he's going to change the game. It's a gamble bringing him on. So for me, that was a starting 11, and I can sort of understand why there weren't as many changes made, but that's not me saying that there should have been changes, because in the second half, quite a few players went off of it massively.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree there. We'll definitely get into that. Dino, is that the team you would have picked, mate? Is that the team you'd look at as our strongest 11 going into this one yesterday?
I would have had Raskin out and had Diomande in. But other than that, I good to go, just because Diomande's actually come out in a good bit of form of late, and out of Raskin and Diomande for me has probably been the better out of the two in previous Old Firms as well. So that's who I would have. Well, it's the only change I would have had is that. But I like the guy said that every Rangers fan was wanting that formation, and for us to go at them full throttle. I wouldn't have changed anything else.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was the one thing I looked at as well, because I thought Diomande was being saved for this game, because he hasn't had a lot of minutes of late, so I thought he was being saved for this one, because we know what he can do. He's got a bit of creativity, and Raskin hasn't been 100% at the races. Now, don't get me wrong, he was pretty decent in that first half. We'll get into that shortly, but yeah, you couldn't really disagree with that being arguably pretty much our strongest 11 bar a couple of tweaks. I like the fact that we were going 2 up top. It did show the intent that we were going to go for the game. Be interesting to see. I was really interested to see how Nadiri and Chamiti would kind of link up together, especially with that different type of defence, and especially when you do look at that kind of Celtic team that was announced. So obviously we knew pretty much the Celtic side we were probably going to see, due to obviously suspensions, and they've not exactly got the most bloated squad, so to speak, have they? So it was Cincialo in goal, Arroyo, Murray, Scales and Tierney in the back 4, Nigrin, McGregor, Oxlade, Chamberlain in the midfield 3, and it was Yang, Adamu and Maeda in the front 3. Ryan, obviously I've just kind of named the Celtic team there. Was there anybody in that Celtic team you looked at instantly and thought they're trouble today? Anybody that stuck out?
No, not at all. Probably the only surprise I had is how attacking the team was. I actually thought, as obviously what transpired, that a draw would actually be a good result for Celtic. I thought O'Neill would come and be quite stuffy, quite defensive, look to use Maeda's pace and try and hit us on the break. But as far as any kind of threats, any kind of worries concerned, no, not at all.
Yeah, do you know what? And it sounds bad to say, it's true. We looked at how they've been performing in recent weeks. We don't watch their games or anything, but you follow the results, and of course they're off the back of a loss at home. Richard 2-1 to Hibs, which don't get me wrong, Hibs can surprise you with that type of result, but they hadn't actually won it at Parkhead since 2010, so it was a little bit of it kind of shows where they are at the minute. Obviously they won in Europe in midweek, which I think made their fans believe a little bit more that they could do something. But looking at that team, obviously you're looking at Oxlade Chamberlain coming in, his first Old Firm game, and that. But you know what? There was nothing really sticking out there. But one thing I want to talk about at the minute is James Tavernier, Richard. So obviously it's another fairly big game now. James Tavernier left out and didn't feature. Is that a sign of now things to come with James Tavernier and where his career's at now?
I think obviously it is. I mean, and before I go anywhere, I say that I am a James Tavernier fan. He's been a fantastic servant for the club, so I'm not going to sit here and slate him. But I'm also not stupid enough to think that he's the best defender in the world. But what he has done for us has been fantastic. But he's at 34 now. He's always had issues, when playing Celtic, particularly up against Maeda. I think probably 8 times out of 10, Maeda's got the better of him. So it's no surprise he comes out for these games. And like you say, I think it's time to hand over that sort of starting right back slot to somebody else. I'm not too sure it's going to be Sterling, to be honest, because I don't think he's got he's robust enough, to be honest, which is one of Tav's greatest attributes. He's certainly got the ability, Sterling, but I think it will only be another couple of weeks before he's, probably on the sidelines. I hope I'm wrong, and I think he'll probably get managed because Tav can still do a job for us in quite a lot of the games coming up. I think probably after the split, I expect it'll probably be more Sterling than it will be Tav, but we'll wait and see. But definitely, I think we're going to see less and less of Tav as the season goes on. But what a player for the club at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, an absolute servant, and I know people talk about mentality, which is something we will touch on a little bit later because it is hard not to avoid that. But James Tavernier's mentality has been questioned a lot over the years, and the one thing I do say is he was the first to step up in Seville and bury a penalty to put us in the give us the upper hand at that point. I don't think there's more big pressure than that you'll ever face really as a footballer. So no, I totally agree. Dino, looking at the bench, obviously we had Asgard, Bajrami, Diamande, Dija, Gassama, Leo Kelly, Magoma, Miovski, and obviously we were just talking about James Tavernier there. Is there anybody else that you might have thought might have featured maybe a bit earlier on, or if there's anybody there that didn't feature at all that you thought might have actually got a look in?
Well, it was apparent from about 55 minutes that we needed fresh legs on before they scored. They were all over us, dominating us, winning every first, second, third ball. So everything that we put into the first half, the adrenaline was gone and the energy was gone. So for me, I would have brought on Bajrami, and if I'm bringing on Gassama for Olsen, I'm putting Moore on the right wing and putting Gassama on the left wing because he's incredibly ineffective on the right and he is most effective on the left. And Moore seems to be relatively decent on the right if that's the move that the manager is wanting to go. But looking at the back line, I think although Romans had a good game, I probably would have brought Magoma on for fresh legs at left back. But our midfield was kind of ineffectual. So if you're bringing on, as I said, Bajrami, I probably would have even brought Chukwani off or something, just something different in the middle of the park to give us somebody actually to be able to control the ball, make something happen. But the manager obviously didn't have any trust in those that are on the bench to come on, and that's quite a sad state of affairs. I remember when Van Bronckhorst was coming towards the end of the season and the players were just absolutely knackered, but he was seldom making any subs because he just didn't have any trust in those that were on the bench. And it's quite a damn indictment that yesterday Real didn't have faith and confidence in the players that were on the bench in an Old Firm game against Celtic at Ibrox to come on for us. So I think that's why, because Miovski's proven that he can score goals in the league, score goals for us, but he doesn't come on. And apparently Chermiti was calling to the bench. Maybe Ryan can tell us if that's accurate, but I've seen a few fans that were at the game yesterday saying Chermiti was asking to come off and he wasn't bringing him off. I don't know if there's any truth to that because I wasn't at the game and I didn't see anything myself, but just because I've seen a few comments online, people saying that. So if you've got a centre forward that wants to come off and the replacement's not coming on, What does that tell you?
Yeah, no, do you know what? I do agree with there, because I know Majovsky hasn't really been suited to a lot of the games we've been playing of late. You know, you look back to when he was at his peak against Aberdeen, it was games like this that he would perform well, where you're under pressure and you're kind of bombing forward, he can kind of get in behind. And I don't disagree there, Dino. I don't disagree. We'll put this match report back up at the end of the game when we go through the kind of ratings and some of the stats. Let kind of get into the match itself. So I don't think you could have asked for a better start, Ryan. Obviously, the first few minutes, what I noticed straight away was we weren't looking to play from the back. Anytime that Butland had the ball, we were punting it forwards. And every time we were actually winning the ball as well, we were punting it high forward. We were trying to get the ball into the final third, and we were keeping it there quite well. We weren't trying to play from the back and invite pressure on. Something that I get the fear with when I see us starting to play it around the box and stuff, because I just don't think we're very good at it. We were really putting our defence under pressure, and it only took 8 minutes for us. Sterling with a great ball out to Scott Olsen, floats a great ball in, and I don't think we're ever going to see a more great goal, let alone this year or probably over the next 5 years at Ibrox. That was a phenomenal goal that looks like it was scored from a world-class finisher. You knew it was going to be Chimiti, didn't you, Ryan? What a start. We spoke so often about we have to start these games better and not be on the back foot and change it in the second half. Well, we did, and we had a fantastic goal to take the lead, didn't we, Ryan?
Yeah, you'll struggle to see a better goal at Ibrox. I'm just trying to get a wee look at the starting 11s again, just to remind myself of something here, but just on what you're saying and getting the ball forward. It's probably just more so the boy Murray that's playing for Celtic. He's obviously doing well enough to be getting a start from as a young guy. So, but you've got to be kind of pinpointing where the potential weaknesses are. So if you've got a young centre half in there, we all know that Scales has got his good days and his bad days for them. But, I always get the fear, and I think there's a quite a lot of the fans when Fernandes is on the ball, particularly the fact he's playing the left-hand side centre half. For me, Fernandes looks nervous when he's on the ball, and I think there's always a mistake in him. I think we've seen the one against Hearts. There was a mistake in him. Whether he's completely to blame on that, with Raskin involved in it as well, we don't know. But the goal, incredible. Absolutely incredible. The layup from Scotland, and he's come out of absolutely nowhere. You didn't anticipate that. The height that he's got, the eruption in the stadium, everyone around me in the club deck, they're just looking about, and everyone's just in absolute shock of what they've just seen. Everyone's got their hands in their heads, everyone's got their hands over their mouths, just like, oh my God. It was a cracking goal. And I echo what they're saying about Chermiti's overhead was better than Scott McTominay's. Yes, absolutely, because I actually think Kasper Schmeichel should have saved Scott McTominay's. I actually don't think McTominay's was actually that great a connection. I thought a better goalkeeper another day would have actually saved Scott McTominay's. Two goalkeepers couldn't have saved Chermiti's. He connected it so sweet. Best goal at Ibrox I've seen probably since the boy, I always forget his name, played centre midfield for Braga. He scored in 2020. And it was a rocket launcher against Alan McGregor for about 30 yards right in the top corner. Actually fell out with someone that night in the government in front, because I turned around to my wee boy and said, that's the best goal I've seen at Ibrox all season. And the guy turned around and went off. He said that, and I was like, mate, if you don't think that's a great goal, you shouldn't be here. That's phenomenal. But that's probably the best goal I've seen at Ibrox since then. As far as what people are saying about the best goal in the 21st century, probably. I don't remember anything as great as that. Eagleman's goal last season was a cracker. There's a wee bit of a kind of break of the ball that led to the half volley into the top corner. That for me from Chermiti is just absolute world class, and I'm sure it'll be shown all over the world.
Yeah, it was everything about it was perfect. The cross was perfect, and he just caught it so beautifully. He didn't just catch it nicely, where a good 7 times out of 10 it's probably going over the bar. He absolutely bulleted, didn't he, Dino? It just absolutely flew and burst the net. Even the keeper was kind of not too far away from it when he was at full stretch. But have you seen a better goal than that, Dino? It was just absolutely phenomenal, wasn't it?
It was, there's not been a better goal than that scored at Ibrox for a while, as Ryan said. But it just shows you the qualities that Chermiti actually has in his locker to produce something as world class as that. It's just really, really good to see that we have somebody capable of scoring such phenomenal goals, and I don't think we'll see another goal like it for quite some time. And I just hope we can continue into the next match against Celtic, and I'm not saying he's going to score another worldie like that, but take great confidence from scoring a goal like that. And you know, if it was scored at another team of higher stature, it would be replayed over and over and over for years to come. So I hope the world. What am I trying to say? I hope the world does him justice, because it's truly one of the goals that are just wow, phenomenal, well done. Couldn't even like properly celebrate because you're like thinking there's going to be a VAR call here that's going to ruin it. Do you know what I mean? that's what was going through my mind. I'm like, there's no VAR call.
Do you know what? I was in a quiet boozer and I absolutely ripped the roof off of it with some other guys when that went in, and then it was that instant stop after 3 seconds where you go, oh no, wait a minute, let's see if you can see the screen in the corner saying VAR check. But I was like, oh, what? It seems all right a minute. And then when you see the first replay, you're like, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But then you know what it's like in Scotland. But I think if you're Neil Doncaster, you're using that as an example of how good the season's been from a neutral point of view, and how close the title race is. And you know, we can do world-class things here in Scotland at times. But one thing, Richard, I'm going to mention now, obviously we started brightly, we started well, we really were pinning them in their own half. They were struggling to take basic passes, struggling to get out just because of our intensity. And Mikey Moore, I want to mention specifically. Mikey Moore was having a phenomenal game, wasn't he? He was taking the ball, running directly at the team. He got a fantastic ball across, and I think Chermiti just ghosted in at the back post and kind of hit the outside of the post with it. You just thought this is going to be our day, didn't you, at that point, Richard?
Do you know what? Like with Mikey Moore, yesterday I was having to remind myself he's an 18-year-old kid. You know what I mean? And he was playing like it was his 50th Old Firm game, and he was running amok. He was just running rings around everybody. Every time he got the ball in that first half, he was doing something with it. He was creating. Didn't always come off, but you know, as soon as he got the ball, you knew something was about to happen. He was absolutely sensational that first half. But to be fair, I couldn't really say anything negative about any of the players in the first half. I thought we were brilliant. We passed the ball really well. We went straight from the off. We were on them, and that rattled them. I really think it did. It absolutely rattled them. They just didn't know what to do. They weren't set up. They didn't know exactly what to do, particularly on our left-hand side, because Romans, Chikwani, Moore, they were just all linking up perfectly, and they just had nothing to absolutely do anything about it. Hindsight's brilliant, and it's just a shame we didn't get that third goal, because I think that would have absolutely killed them. Even before half time, I don't think there was any coming back from it, no matter what. But yeah, from first half point of view, as Ro said in his press conference, that's the standard, that's the intensity we should be playing, just right from the first whistle to the end. You know, not the half time whistle.
Yeah, no, do you know what? I totally agree. And, you know, obviously Rich just mentioned Romans there, Ryan. You looked at Romans in that first half. He was playing so high up, wasn't he? And he was linking very well with Moore outside the box. It was a little intricate passing that was it was tearing their defence open. Their defence was absolutely struggling. Obviously, you mentioned earlier Dane Murray. He was having a difficult time of it. But Romans looked fantastic in that first half, didn't he? And it's amazing to actually see some signings that have come in January, hit the ground running, and in one of the biggest games has been absolutely phenomenal, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a weapon. You know, you sometimes see with these guys that they're so fantastic going forward, and you know, these attacking fullbacks that they on occasion will struggle on their defensive side of the game. So remember, a younger Tavernier back in the day was so great going forward and caused problems. Alan Hutton as well was great, winning a lot of fouls up the park, penalties and what have you. But the sacrifice was that the defensive side of things wasn't as good as what it could be. Robin seems to be a fantastic all-rounder. He wins headers. He's great to tackle. He's great within his kind of duels, man-to-man, shoulder-to-shoulder. He's a real find. Early indications, anyway. Every time he gets the ball, I'm always shouting, "Get the ball to Romans! Get the ball to Romans!" He's intricate playing. The way he finds himself in the final third, in particular on the byline as well. We've got a right good opportunity to develop a player on our hands here that no doubt will make us a lot of money. It'll be just a matter of time before he's chapping the door of the Belgian manager asking for a game, because he's that good. He really is that good. I'm just a kudos to the scouting guys, kudos to the guys within the building that managed to get him. I see that Clinton Hansiala went the other way and managed to get himself sent off yesterday for punching a guy. So we've done some great business there, in my opinion. But we'll see how things go for him. Let's just not get overexcited too soon. But, we've got a really good chance to develop a good player here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It was quite eye-opening actually looking into him, because obviously, Ryan, we did that show on the Heart and Hand Network, Ones to Watch, and we were looking specifically at Romans and looking at things like he's very strong in aerial duels, which is something you don't see for a left back too often. And we saw that against Liverpool where he got that header away. This is a left back, for goodness sake, that's doing all this. He is very strong. Not just in the challenge, he can defend as well. He's good at advancing, so it kind of seems to be an all-round ready-made player, which is hopefully something we'll see more positive play from him in the future. Dino, everything's going swimmingly. We're pinning Celtic back. They are struggling. The fans are in full voice after one of the goals, probably the goal of the season, if we're being honest, has just been scored. And 26 minutes in, Skov Olsen again involved. He plays it out to Raskin, who just floats a lovely ball in. It wasn't the best ball necessarily at that point, but Dane Murray makes an absolute hash of it. And Chomiti does what he does best. He did the same thing against Hearts, that 2-1 defeat. He just kept plugging away, knew there was something to get there. And he just gets a touch to take it away from Rio, doesn't he? Just one touch, and then one touch past the keeper, just done absolutely brilliantly, like any striker does. And it's a massive, important goal. Chomiti again with a double against Celtic. So at this point, that's 9 goals for him this season, 1 against Killie, 4 against Hearts, and 4 against Celtic. That's just incredible, isn't it? 2 up, 26 minutes in. It's the perfect start.
Aye. And then you're thinking to yourself, we keep going, this could be 3, this could be 4. And that was the mindset of every Rangers fan in the stadium and around the world at that point. As you said, Chomiti plugging away and the desire to fight for every single ball and, targeting their weak point, like Ryan said, and the fact that when a player makes a mistake like that, especially a defender, can quite be detrimental to the rest of their performance in the game, and something that teams often do exploit. And him being a young and making a mistake like that in such a high-profile game, I would have been targeting that all throughout, but obviously never happened second half. And Chomiti loved his celebration, just sitting on the box and saying, like, I'm the man, which is quite right. And when was the last time a Rangers player scored 4 against Celtic in a season? And not that he was close, but I think he would have been the first player in Super to score a hat-trick if he got a third. So that just shows you how long it's been since players have been prolific, I guess, consistently against Celtic. But phenomenal, sexy wee touch on the defender and round the goal. It was just, it's class.
Yeah, just absolute dreamland at that point. And you're right, it was Alan McCoy was the last Rangers player to get a hat-trick against Celtic, and the last player to score 4 against Celtic in a season was Mark Walters, which obviously a phenomenal footballer himself. But at that point, Richards, you're looking at everything. We're doing the right things for once. There's been so many times going into Wolfram games they've had weaker defences, they've never pressed them enough. We were tearing them apart. Celtic started to get a little bit into the game at this point. They managed to make a few passes, but still nothing was coming off for them. They would go to get a ball in the box and balloon it out. They were on the ropes, weren't they, Richard? And the game was there for us at that point.
Absolutely, mate. They were on the ropes from the very first whistle, to be honest. I think it's frustrating, the end up. But yeah, the first half especially, just to a man, everybody, the old saying of win your personal battles first. Make sure that your opponent knows they're in the game, and every single one of them done that. Let's say I couldn't fault any of them. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that everything went perfectly, but the result was going perfectly, and we'd got the goals. The performance was there. We just had to shore it up. It's disappointing we didn't create after the second goal, in that first half especially. We didn't create too many real chances. Gilt-edged chances. The ones Romans, I can't remember if that was the second half or not, or towards the end of the first half. Yeah. But other than that, I don't really think we created too much else. There's nothing that sticks out in the top of my mind of what we created. That's the only disappointing thing for us, the way that we were playing, the way that we had Celtic against the ropes. We didn't really do a great deal with it, unfortunately. But the players were doing well, just didn't have that cutting edge to really put the game to bed in that first half.
Yeah, I do agree with that, Richard. You break down the chances that we had. I think over the whole game we had 3 shots on target. So at that point, our 2 shots on target went in, which, don't get me wrong, that's fantastic to have a 100% shot to goal ratio, Ryan. But obviously that second half started. O'Neill did make a change, and it turned out to be quite an important change, didn't it, when he brings on Hatate for Oxlade-Chamberlain, and I actually forgot Chamberlain was playing until I noticed the sub. He was very poor, wasn't he? The game was just getting beyond him, and not just him, the rest of the team as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I did actually say to Jack from the show that I turned around and said I didn't even realise Oxlade-Chamberlain was even on the park. He was anonymous in that first half, and I fully expect that just to carry on. To be honest with you, I don't think he's going to be a particularly great signing for him. Hopefully, anyway. The big change for them was Tenecti. It was taken off the number 9. I always forget his name, but it was taken off the striker. He wasn't offering much. Adamu, yeah, maybe ran his race on Thursday night and just didn't have anything left in the tank. But bringing on the boy Tenecti was the big change for him. He was dangerous. He was causing all sorts of trouble. And the sad thing about it was Danny Rowe just sat back and just watched that happen. There was a kind of moment within the game where there was a quick interchange of play right in front of the dugout, and 4 Rangers players are looking to get on the attack, very kind of close together in close proximity. And Chermiti tries to do this sort of mad flick in there, and nobody reads it. Not even he reads it, I don't even think. As Celtic managed to go on the attack, and there was just a change of atmosphere in the stadium at that point, where our fans just all of a sudden became very, very quiet, and the Celtic fans started singing again, and they just get into the game more and more and more into the game. The writing's on the wall. We start hitting the panic button. There is no composure from us at all from set pieces. We are just literally just trying to boot it. Guys are trying to kick out the stadium. Nobody can actually just sit down, put their foot in the ball, and just show a bit of composure. And that for me, it comes from just a total lack of leadership within the team. But we've spoken about this for years. Somebody actually sit people down and say, listen, get your heads in the game here, slow things down. We're 2-0 up here. This is our home stadium. We govern the tempo. We govern the play here. And you're looking towards Nico Raskin, who's taking dog's abuse in the comments, and rightly so. I'm looking towards John Suter, who again was a headless chicken for us at centre half. He could positional sense is absolutely shocking. Cannot handle a long ball coming anywhere near him. And we just sat back and we watched it happen. And Danny Rowe sat and watched it happen. And Kieran Tierney scores the first of 2 goals for them. And at that point, I looked at the clock, 50 odd minutes. I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah, you could feel it in the stadium. You really could. Obviously, Martin, who made the substitutes, he had to go for it. I think when you've got nothing to lose, sometimes that could be a bit more dangerous. I at half-time, even though I was happy with 2-0, I was like, we should have got a third. We should have just ended the game, because it's that old saying, isn't it, Dino, where sometimes 2-0's worse than 1-0. 1-0, to still be, cautious, and the game's not won yet, but 2-0, you can slip into that a little bit, can't you? Now, don't get me wrong, I think we started the second half the way we kind of ended. We were putting them under pressure. That's when we had the chance. The ball was put in, but I think it was Gov Olsen once again. And it's Romans coming in at the back post, and he just doesn't catch it properly, and it just kind of goes into Sencialo's arms, and you're thinking, oh, that should have been 3-0. But the worrying thing was, at that point, that was our last shot on target. What do you think game plan was at half time? What do you think Danny Rule was saying to the guys? Was it just keep doing what you're doing? Because that's what it certainly looked like at the start of the second half.
I don't think there was a half-time team talk was too difficult a team talk, from probably one of his easier ones in his Rangers career, and it would have just been more of the same. As you said, first few minutes, Romans has a shot, pretty poor effort, but can't really criticise the guy too much. He's a left back that finds himself in a striker's position, and he just recently came, so we can't give him it too tight. But a professional footballer should probably be having a better attempt than that. And then obviously that was it. You last shot on target and stuff, and then the Celtic just opened us up and just came right at us. And Danny Rule is constantly shouting at the team to stop retreating, stop coming so deep, stop allowing them to come at us. As Ryan says, it's Ibrox. We're the ones that should be doing that to them, not the other way about. But Danny was shouting. Ryan was obviously at the game, so he'll be able to tell better than me. But so it's not as I don't think that was a tactical thing from him. I think that was just players' mentality and weakness doing that, and being scared of Celtic and retreating, and that played into Celtic's hands. I mean, that's absolute gravy for players like Hatate. Do you know what I mean? Absolute gravy for players like him. So that's just, and Ryan says their goal goes in. We all knew what was going to happen from then, and you had a bit of optimism if he made changes when he needed to make them, but he didn't. But pretty embarrassing that we're coming in at half time. I think Celtic have one shot or no shots at half time, and you're none exactly. You're rubbing your hands. You're thinking, I'm absolutely buzzing here. Let's go and get the third, and then the tables turned and it was all them, which you're like, man, that's shouldn't be happening. Lack of leadership, lack of mentality, and the players, and Danny in his press conference, I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but he basically came out and said that there isn't a mentality issue, and like, how can you say that when you're the one that's shouting at them to get them further up the park, but their weak mentality is making them retreat and be passive and defensive. So not looking good for Sunday coming, put it that way.
Definitely indeed. Richard, do you want to come in there, mate?
Yeah, mate. I mean, can't agree with everything that really Ryan and Dino said, but it's difficult to pin it all just on mentality, because everybody could see that it needed to be shored up a little bit. They need to tighten up, so that naturally would, as a player, you would sit more defensive and hold on to what you've got just to weather the storm for 10-15 minutes. And yeah, Rule saying needs to get forward, but you can't do that unless you got the ball. And we were just terrible from the 55th minute, from that moment where Chamiti tried that little pass in the middle of the park. From that moment, that's when it went really downhill. And I've been thinking about it just since Ryan said his comment there, that I've got my own thoughts, but I'm going to ask Ryan, and well, all of you, to be honest. We know the changes that he did make. We know what he didn't do. So for you boys, at that point, what changes do you think he should have made?
Go first.
I'm going to come in.
Right, I'm going to have a rant here, so I'm sorry. Right, we're all talking about Danny Rule learning lessons, right? For me, he's not learning lessons. One thing that we know, Yusuf Chamiti can't play as a lone striker. It's mentioned in the comments a couple of minutes ago there. We don't get the best out of Yusuf Chamiti when he's playing as a lone striker. So why take off Nadiri and leave Chamiti on? If we're taking off Nadiri, we should replace him by Ofsky and do a straight swap and leave the two up front, so that we're still getting the best out of Chamiti, but we're also getting the fresh legs of Majowski, who's got something to prove, who's currently, at this moment in time, sitting as a third-choice striker, who wants to play for Rangers and has something to prove. We've seen with Ndiri's debut, when Majowski starts coming deep, his industry's great, he comes in and he causes problems. That's substitute number one. We also know that JD Kazama cannot play on the right-hand side of the park. He offers absolutely nothing when he comes on the right-hand side. His best work comes on the left-hand side of the park, so why bring Kazama on the right-hand side when he's going to offer you absolutely nothing? Especially when Tedeschi's the one, or whatever his name, I think that's his name. He's the one, he's the one causing all the problems for Celtic. You're not going to get any tracking back for Kazama on the right-hand side, so you're going to leave him, you're basically going to leave him one-on-one with Dujon Sterling all the time. Your substitute on the right-hand side should have been James Tavernier, right? And I don't care if it's Sterling in front of Tavernier or Tavernier in front, I don't care what you do there. He's causing us problems, boys. I need the two of you to deal with him. Out of possession, you can move forward. In possession, you can move into a back five because Tavernier can tuck in, Sterling can move into centre half. Romans can then possibly push out the left-hand side and offers the option on the left-hand side, which we know he's good at. That's your substitution on the right-hand side. Chukwani's blowing out his backside as well. Why is he leaving him on the park? We know that Bajrami can do a job against McGregor. McGregor runs the Celtic team. You bring Bajrami on, you stick him on McGregor. That nullifies McGregor. That nullifies pretty much all of Celtic. So you look at Tedeschi, you look at McGregor, you put them two on, and that nullifies it, and you're leaving Chermiti on there. So we ride the storm that we knew was coming because they get their first goal. We need to hold this out. We then progressed to let Celtic play a home game on our park. They were getting the break of every single ball, every single time the ball was loose, we're miles off it. Nico Raskin needs strangled by Tyrone for what he done on Sunday. He was all over the place, and it reminded me when people were telling me last season that Nico Raskin doesn't follow instructions from the manager, because quite clearly he was a headless chicken. He was all over the place on Sunday in that second half. He should be no more than 10 yards away from Callum McGregor when he's playing centre midfield against him. It's as simple as that. And I'm maybe being a bit harsh using the word strangled, right? But you know what I'm getting. I'm annoyed. He needs to have serious words with him about his positional discipline when he's playing against Celtic, when he's playing against Callum McGregor. That's the substitutions that should have been done. Bajrami for his industry, Tavernier to help out with the Tedeschi one, and leaving Chermiti with a striker. And then if you're then looking towards defensive side of things, you can then think about Asgard. Romans was running out of steam as well. You've then got Makoma, who hasn't let us down at all this season, who's been absolutely brilliant. That's your subs, and he's made two. He basically gets schooled by Martin O'Neill, for me, Daniel. He get absolutely schooled by him. A wily old foxy manager who's managed at the top level in football, outschooled a coach, basically. We needed leaders at the side. The players done really well in the first half, and the players won the game in the first half. We then needed leadership. We needed our manager to get us through the game. We needed Nico Raskin as one of the leaders on the park. We needed John Souttar as the leader on the park to get us through that game yesterday. And not one of the three of them helped the situation. When they're three of the guys that we should be looking at.
Hard to not disagree. Hard to not. I can't even say it. Hard to not disagree with everything you've just said there, Ryan. I think the subs were severely underused yesterday. The fact that we only made two changes when you could, especially just before the 60-minute mark. Obviously, the game took that change straight after Romans' shot that we had on target. That was our third and last shot on target of the game. Not long after that, minutes after that, Hatate had Celtic's first chance of the game, which was a shot on target, which Butland put round the post. That's when it started to turn. That's when you saw Chermiti blowing out his backside, frankly. He was definitely struggling. And as you say, when you look at that bench, all right, you might not be looking at players like Asgard because of, what's happened in previous Old Firm games. But Bajrami, definitely, he nullified McGregor before, and we've seen that from him. We've seen that he can do that. Obviously, Diamandi did come on. Not really, it changed the shape and everything. It wasn't the right, I thought maybe Raskin for Diamandi, that kind of like for like, just to kind of give you that extra little boost, because Raskin did have a fairly decent first half, but you could see there was a lot of stray passes starting in that second half.
Can I just come back in there, Andrew?
Go for
it. See on top of Daniel learning lessons. Look what he did at Motherwell, and Motherwell equalised in the last minute because he takes the striker off and he tries to get into shell and he tries to hold out the 1-0 lead or the 1-goal lead. Why is he not learning that lesson from Fir Park that doesn't work in this country, especially when you're playing against teams that are coming looking to try and get into title races? It's not good enough. He needs to start learning these lessons because they're just, for me, and there's already people, and rightly or wrongly, that are starting to ask whether he's got the ability to be the Rangers manager. For me, I thought he's been absolutely brilliant. I think he's done really, really well for us. He has only lost one game in domestically so far. But he needs to start getting these stupid tactical mistakes out of his system. And whether he needs to get a stronger number two or a more experienced number two in beside him to help him do that. But for me, we're punters, we're all fans, season ticket holders, whatever, and we're all saying the same thing. He's a qualified UEFA licensed coach. He needs to start to get these things right. There won't be the patience for it. We need to change this quickly.
It does seem, Dino, as Ryan's been saying there, it seems to be the game management side of Danny Rule that doesn't seem to be fully there yet. I think especially for the Scottish League, obviously he's worked as a coach at very high levels in Germany, Bayern Munich, and a lot of the kind of involved with the Red Bull sides. But game management, as Ryan highlighted there, you beat Motherwell 1-0, 10-man Motherwell, and we managed that end of the game poorly. We're 2-0 up here. We can see the screws turning. The fans can tell that the screw is turning, and Celtic have got nothing to lose here, so they're willing to throw everything forward, and we're just not managing the game properly. Somebody was saying that, I think it was Samo when he came on, Rule had to speak to him about 3 times because it was something to do with either they were changing instructions or maybe he wasn't fully understanding the instructions. Is that because the minute we've seen for Danny Rule with game management?
So, sorry, could you repeat the question? I lost the signal there.
Oh, sorry. Basically, Danny Rule is game management. That seems to be his kind of big weakness that we've seen at the minute. Is that his big weakness, would you say?
I would say that's one of his big weaknesses. I don't really think there's
that what
too
let him
many.
Down yesterday?
Pardon?
Is that what let him down yesterday?
Yes, yesterday, yeah, definitely. And not actually, as I said, if you've got a player like Gassama who's not taken instructions on board, and that's a player that you've worked with at 2 clubs, then like you said, getting a more experienced number 2 in, somebody else, because it's that's quite important time for him coming on. You need him to be coming on and knowing exactly what he's doing and when he's to do it. And yeah, that's quite concerning actually for a club like Rangers for that to be happening. But one thing that we've probably analysed over the years is managers previously not learning from their mistakes, and that's been quite consistent through the last few managers. And because we've all been prevalent to that, it's concerning. It's incredibly concerning for me. I'm not saying that Rule should be getting sacked and he's not the man to take us forward, because he does make these changes and learns from his mistakes. He can go up a few levels for us. But when you're like looking at the side, and as Ryan says, we're all punters, we're watching it. Everybody knows that the momentum's changed, and he makes the wrong decisions and brings the wrong players off, and you're just like, I know it's a massive task managing Rangers, and I don't envy him in that respect, but you need to be getting it right in those moments. And having all these draws, how many of those draws should have been wins? And for a team that's now in a position, how he turned it around was just miraculous, but he managed to get us in that position, the position that Rangers should be in every season. So then we are obviously, we do have a level of arrogance, and we're thinking, well, we should be going and winning this title now. And because of decisions like that, we're out of the title race. So yeah, definitely needs to have a word with himself and reflect on what he needs to do differently.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree there. Dino, well said, mate. Obviously, the screw was turning for Celtic. Tinecti had a shot, kind of went under Butland, but luckily he managed to accidentally smother it just by where he was. It was quite a lucky one. This is at the point we're starting to use up all our good luck. The fans, you could tell, you could hear it in the stadium, it was getting very cagey. And then the goal came. Hatate to McGregor, to Negro, and he just whips in a close cross in the box, and Tierney headers it past Butland. It seemed to take eternity to header in the ground and kind of pass Butland. Raskin's watching at this point. It's very poor. And I think we all knew at this point, Ryan, that Celtic were going to get an equaliser, didn't we?
Yep, writings on the wall. And it was just total panic from defending a corner. I think Celtic tried to put the ball in the box about 3 times before it eventually felt Negron's managed to get a clip. Raskin, I don't know who he's marking. I think he's marking the guy on his left-hand side. But Kieran Tierney's 5'10", 5'9". He's standing on our 6-yard line against 2 centre-halves who are over 6 foot tall, and manages to pin a header past him. I don't understand how we can't just manage to get a foothold to get the ball at the park. Another thing that is maybe a tactical thing that we're doing as well, we bring everybody back from corners and bring everyone back from defensive free kicks. We're not leaving an out ball up. Chermiti, I think, would be the closest one who hangs about roughly around about the edge of the D. We seem to bring every single person back for corners as well, and that's clearly a tactical instruction that's came in, but we were just panicking, just that you just knew what was going to happen. But it's a real poor goal to lose. We shouldn't be losing goals like that. And the fact that we've got this set piece coach in, that we should be, as much as we're doing better and getting a lot more goals from set pieces and stuff like that, we need to be defensively working on this as well.
Yeah.
Not with the personnel we've got. How many guys over 6 foot tall have we got playing for us now, and we're still losing goals from headers on our 6-yard line? Shouldn't it be happening?
Yeah, I think you can coach as much as you can when it comes to the set piece coaching, defensive coaching, but it for me there, it's players that aren't doing their roles at that point. Raskin there, he's just essentially standing there. We'll get on to the second goal now, of course, which we knew was coming. We managed to kind of survive a bit of an onslaught, and it was really hard watching. I was pacing up and down. You just knew it was coming. Now 86 minutes in, Richard Maeda, he gets a header away, so Forrest floats across in. Maeda's against Sterling, gets the header away. It looked a great save, very close range from Butland. Comes back out, we clear it, and then we see John Beaton putting his to his. See that first replay, and of course you see Chris Sutton straight away. Oh, that's a penalty, and it's a penalty, isn't it, Richard? It's lots of points of failure though, isn't there?
It is. We can't argue about the penalty, and I know there's been stuff on social media about Willie Collum came out and said, a few months ago, things like that weren't a penalty, but I always look at it. If the shoe's on the other foot, that's up the other end of the park, I'd be screaming penalty. So when it happens to us, we just got to accept it. As for the lead up to the goal itself, there's a lot of things that could have done better. Probably could have stopped the cross because it was just a floated ball in. For me, Butland should have come out and grabbed it because, again, just floated high up, right on his 6-yard line. Why is he not coming, even make an attempt to get it, to parry it, punch it, ideally hold it? And why is Maeda been able to basically have a free header on our 6-yard line? It's not good enough. Sterling coming into the back, tried to make a block. Yeah, his hand's up. There's nothing he can do. It's not like his hand was wildly away from his body. It's just your hand's there, but I'm not going to argue about the penalty. It is what it is. So, yeah, the writing was on the wall. We just felt like it was just a matter of time. And then the penalty as well, that's annoyed me. I tried hard not to swear there. Because how he's got 3 cracks at that, I have no idea. Where's the intensity of the players to run it? There was 2 Celtic players about to score it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like there was anybody else near him. And that was his 3rd attempt, and we still not have a single player in the box trying to clear it and help Jack Butland out. That for me, those elements are what is more infuriating, and the manager can't do anything about that, really. That's the players who've got to take ownership. They just sort of, I don't want to say the bottle crashed a little bit, but they were just hoping to see the game out rather than really showing, I don't want to say showing fighting spirit, but rather than showing a bit more fight, it was like they were just being passive and try to defend for their lives rather than putting their foot on the ball and trying to take the game to Celtic again. And I know that's what happens. The last minute of the game, you literally just want to see it out. You want to defend and stuff like that. But how many times do we see last minute goals, especially by them? You know what I mean?
Oh, it's coming. That's the problem, and I think that's what's so frustrating. Ryan, you look at that whole. We'll talk about the kind of build up to the penalty before the penalty, but you look at that ball in. Shouldn't that be Jack Butland's all day? It's not too far away from him. It's floated in. There's plenty of time there. Should that not be his? I know we can look at also the defending, but lots of points of failure there.
It's madness. Many times have Maeda won headers in Rangers' box. He scored the goal against us a couple of years ago, I think, at Celtic Park. Crossed at the back post, and he's beaten both Sterling and Tavernier a header at the back post. He's given us a warning just about maybe 10-15 minutes before that when he's had a free header and he's hit it right, but he's put it right in the Butland's gloves. Suter for me, hopeless defending him. Maeda's made a kind of half run towards the front post. Suter's followed him, he's taken the bait, and Maeda's just basically stepped back and got the header in. It's a penalty kick. There's nothing you can do about it. It's come off his hand. The ball's on the direction towards goal. It's come off his hand. Butland saved it. And as much as this stuff's coming out about Column, but there was there was the one that he done when it was Lewis Mayo handballed it, and they gave a penalty. And it's not so much that yes, it did come off him and on his hand. Colin was speaking about consequence. What's the consequence of the ball hitting the hand? The ball doesn't hit the hand, does it end on the back of the net? Maybe. You'll never know. So it's unfortunately a penalty. But what Richard's saying there, where's our mentality? But Jack Butland allegedly saved 8 out of the last 10 penalty kicks for Rangers Football Club. So we've got to fancy him there. Nobody for Celtic actually even wanted to take the penalty. See while the VAR was going on, there was nobody with the ball in their hand. They were all looking at each other. I don't fancy this. Do you fancy? No, for me. No, I'm not taking responsibility. None of them wanted to hit it. So you knew there was a very good possibility that he was going to save it. So you've got to get 2 guys ready to sprint towards the post because he's probably going to go to one side. So if there's going to be a chance to kick it out you've got to sprint towards the post. And you know that Maeda is going to be the quickest guy in the park. He's there. So you've got to get somebody in front of him checking. Me, man, you're not standing on the edge of the 18-yard line. I'm standing here. I keep pushing him wider and wider and wider till he ends up in the enclosure. I don't care where he ends up. He's not standing on the edge of our box while that penalty kick's going on. So you need to deal with him because he's the person that's probably going to get to the ball first. Remember Catty just when McGregor saved a penalty, I think it was at Parkhead, and Catty sprinted in and put the ball way up in the stand. Where was that yesterday? Where was that?
I think there was.
It's brutal, absolutely brutal.
There was a lot yesterday that went wrong in that second half, and I think that's where you can question the mentality. Because at that point, now don't get me wrong, when I saw that it was going to be a penalty, I could watch. But I did see Hatati's face before it, and I thought, that's not going in. He's too nervous. You could see it. I play and goal myself, and you can normally suss out straight away when somebody's... And you knew it was going to be a limp penalty. He was just going to go for the goal. He wasn't going to try anything. You could just tell just by looking at his face, and it sounds ridiculous to say, but when he hit it, not a great penalty. Decent save from Butland, because you've got to guess the right way, and he did. Butland was quite good with the mind games. Like, he went right back in the goal on the line and stuff. That second ball in is where, when it comes back to him, he hits it straight at him. It is so poor. It is so poor. And once again, the whole goal to go for, he hits it straight at Butland in the middle. Butland can't really do too much else again apart from parry it back straight into the danger zone. And Dino, of course, at that point, he's getting a third bite at it. And who's the player next to him as well? Maeda. None of our players around him there. None of our players really believed that penalty was getting saved and that there was going to be any action from the rebound, did they?
No, that's what I put in the group chat yesterday. It's exactly what I said. Not one player went for that ball. Not one player anticipated. As Ryan said, 8 out of the last 10 penalties. And like, what much more do the players need? 2-1, closing minutes of the game against Celtic at Ibrox. You want to be doing everything and anything that you can to protect that lead, and not one but two opportunities, and players are just trotting in like it's a pre-season friendly, and it just is not good enough. Just is not good enough to be in that position and to have that mentality at Rangers, it's sad, really. I've never actually seen us concede a lot of penalties and stuff, but I've never actually seen a Rangers team so uninterested and, not bothered to run in after the penalty kick's been taken. Like, I've never seen anything like Ibrox. Just utterly irrefutable.
I think what's annoying as well, the build-up just before that, there around the last 10 minutes, we had 2 corners and we did nothing with it, and there was no attempt at game management, which was really frustrating. And what annoyed me even more as well was when you saw straight after that penalty was conceded, we had a couple of minutes, we went up straight up the other end of the park, something we hadn't done in about half an hour. And I think that's what annoyed me more than anything. Suddenly we were going up the other end, we were trying to get back into the lead, but by that point it's too little too late. Richard, a question I'm going to ask you now, obviously a draw in an Old Firm game when the league is quite tight isn't the end of the world, but in the manner that we've done it, has this psychologically handed Hearts a title, or are we still in it? Or psychologically, has that given Celtic the advantage? What do you honestly think now from this?
We're definitely still in it, right? Nobody's going to run away and go and win every single game, right? The problem is we're not either. It's whether or not we can slip up less than the others, realistically. We've got to take the positives from it. We absolutely blew Celtic away that first half, okay? And I don't think it was just a case of Celtic not turning up. We were just a better team, and I think we still are. They're going to have a little bit of hope from it, but it's another home game next week. We win that and play the way we did in the first half for the full 90 minutes. That psychological edge for the league disappears. And there's only 1 point between us and Celtic. Hearts are a little bit different in the sense of we need some other teams to do us a favour with them. But otherwise, I'd still look at Celtic as our biggest rivals, because I think they will probably take points off Hearts. I think Hearts probably will slip up a little bit further. So it's definitely still in our own hands, realistically. But we need to do better, and we need to have more consistent performances. And the psychological edge that people think Celtic might have, it's all good and well saying, we scraped a point by getting a last-minute penalty. But ultimately, we got absolutely pumped in the first half. That's what they should be thinking. So I don't think they'll be coming on Sunday thinking that they're going to absolutely destroy us and the old Celtic are back, because they're not. All right? We're looking at it negatively because ultimately it feels like a defeat yesterday, but it wasn't. All right? So we still need to think positively, because ultimately the Celtic fans will be thinking, we got a draw last minute and we got absolutely annihilated the first half, so we can get annihilated again on Sunday. So I'm trying to look at it positively. I still think we can get a result on Sunday, but we need to perform at our best. And if we do that, that will hit them with a psychological blow for the remainder of the season.
Do you know what? I 100% agree with you, Richard, and I really do. Obviously, last night I was raging. I'm not going to try and talk too much now, guys. I know I've overrun and everything, but it's hard not to look at that yesterday and go, we've blown it. Because psychologically, I think more than anything, mathematically, we're still ahead of Celtic. Yes, they've got a game in hand, Ryan, to play this week, and if they win that, I think psychologically that also helps them if they do win that game against Aberdeen up at Pittodrie. But we are in it. I think the only team really that could win it with and afford to drop a few points is probably Hearts at the minute, but with all their injuries, I'm thinking that at the minute they are kind of just getting by. Yes, they got a good win over Aberdeen at the weekend, but it can't go on forever, especially with it's 4 to 5 key players now, isn't it, Ryan? It's gonna come at some point, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, though, mate, they are still getting by, and we're not. Winners find a way to win, and losers find a way to lose. And at this moment in time, we're not losing games. The drawers find a way to draw. But we're kidding ourselves on here. To be honest, from what I seen yesterday, we're kidding ourselves on. It's too far gone. The Cat's 9 lives are up. We're not going to go to Parkhead and win. We're not going to go to Tynecastle and win. we're potentially having to go back to Fir Park again and look for something else. It's something drastic. I don't know where it's going to come from within the squad. I don't know if Scott Olsen's going to arrive. No, I'm not going to start getting on at him because he needs time to get to find his feet in the team and stuff like that. But at this moment in time, I think we're having a laugh if we think we're going to be anywhere near that title at the end of the season. Our best chance of silverware is the Scottish Cup. We need to expect to beat Celtic at some point during the Scottish Cup to win the Scottish Cup. We're going to play them at home. Thankfully, we're not going to play them at Hampden because we don't have a great record against them at Hampden. And every other team that's left in the league is, from the bottom side, if not the championship. So that's our best chance of silverware. Let's be totally honest here. I just don't see that enough within the team. I don't see enough winners. I see too many mistakes, too many errors. I just see weakness physically, mentality. I thought we looked knackered yesterday. The last 20 minutes of the game, Celtic were still running and we were hobbling. They're playing on Thursday night in Germany. We had all week to prepare for that, and we don't look fit. We just don't look fit at all. I do
agree in that respect, because that's what's going to be different this weekend. They'll have Trusty back. Granted, that's not necessarily an amazing thing, but they will have an international centre back. They won't have had a European away trip. Yes, to Aberdeen, but it's a little bit different, and I think that probably favours them a little more in that respect. However, we're at home. We should be the favourites, and I think we will be. I'm just going to wrap up in a sec, guys, but I'm going to give Dino the final word in a sec. Baron Loyal Martin O'Neill was experienced in run-ins. Roll got taken to school by him at the weekend. Martin O'Neill's been around, but I've always found that in the tight run-ins, he's always faltered. I've always found generally when he did win the league, he was quite a few points clear, and we were very bad at sometimes. When it's ever been neck and neck, I think he's always generally struggled. I'm not saying he's not a good manager and has been a good manager, but I think that's a reality of it, but things are a bit different this time around. I'm going to give you the final word now. Have Rangers blown this league title?
I would say so. I think when you have as many draws at the business end of the season, because you have draws at the beginning of the season, you can make ground back up, but you've got them at the wrong end of the season. And the everything that Ryan just alluded to that we lack, kind of nips it in the bud for me. And what we do need to remember though for next season, second place goes into the conference. So in order to get into Europa League, we have to win the Scottish Cup. So that's, I think, what all our attention and focus should be going on. And as Ryan says, we need to be Celtic at some point. Hearts are out of it. I don't know if Motherwell are still in it, but Motherwell are out of it as well. Right, so beat Celtic on Sunday. You've got to think that we're in with a great chance to go on and get silverware, and that gives Danny real credit in the bank because it gives fans something to cheer about at the end of the season. Albeit the turnaround that he had just didn't have when required at the end, but winning the Scottish Cup does give us some momentum going into next season, and regroup in the summer, get the leaders in that we really require to make us back on top of Scottish football. That's it for me. I've resigned the league title to Hearts. I kept saying that they were going to fall away. And I keep saying, but every team goes through a bad patch every season. Hearts haven't really seemed to have a bad patch, and it's funny because they're very reminiscent of Leicester, which is actually 10 years ago this year that Leicester won the Premier League. So I'm hoping that it's just a one season wonder for Hearts winning the league, and we're back on top next season. But I don't think that we're going to win the league.
Well, I think we're still in it. I do. It's a big psychological blow. I think we're still in it. I think there's still good bit of football to be played, especially the top 6 playing each other. That'll be very interesting. I think very difficult to predict. But yeah, I've overrun quite substantially tonight. Scotty's going to give me a virtual slap shortly, so I better wrap this up. But it has been very good talk, very good chat, and very good comment from all you guys at home. Don't forget, we are proudly sponsored by Bluebells Bar in Puerto del Carmen, Lanzarote. Do please head out there when you are out there and do visit the only Rangers bar in Puerto del Carmen. I'd just like to thank everyone. Ryan, thank you, mate, for coming on, and hopefully we're talking about a victory next Monday.
Yep, hopefully so, mate. Sorry for ranting so much, everyone.
No, I think you need to get it off your chest sometimes. It's healthy. It's definitely healthy. Dino, thank you for coming on, mate, and giving your opinion.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure and privilege as always.
Yeah, always good to have you, mate. And Richard, last but not least, mate, thank you ever so much for coming on. And it's been good to vent, isn't it?
It has. I'm glad you came to me last, mate, because we can't have it, the pod ending on a negative note like that. Dino, come on, man. Right? We're still in with it. Still in with a shout. We can still do it. We need the team to perform, right? We can do it. Start believing, right? Get big Marvin Andrews back. Get him on his side. We're still in with a shout.
Read on our Derry Johnson, though. Read on our Derry Johnson half-time speech.
To be fair, we probably need big Marvin Andrews at centre-back at the minute as well. Stop conceding some of these goals. But yeah, I do agree, Richard. Look, we're still in this. We are 100% still in this. It didn't feel like it last night. I was absolutely scunnered. I was scunnered this morning. But you know what? You look at that league table. We're still second currently. That obviously might change by the time we play them. But there's a point in it if they do win. So, you know what? Anything's possible. Every night's a Rangers Journal night. Take care, everyone.
Every night is the Rangers Journal night.